Hey everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the match preview ahead of Fulham versus Liverpool Sunday afternoon. I'm still delighted to be joined by Abi Rudkin and Jon Reid to have a look ahead to another big game. There are 6 of them left to go now, we know for certain, and the run-in continues, I suppose, on Sunday with Liverpool looking to get back into some kind of, I suppose, winning ways. They actually won last night, although it didn't feel like it at the time. Thanks for coming in, guys. Jon, I'll start with you. Liverpool have found Fulham a tricky opponent this season. Obviously, this will be the 4th time we've played them. Two wins by the odd goal, of course. Then the draw in the cup, obviously, that meant that Liverpool got through. In both the Anfield games, Liverpool had to come from behind as well a couple of times. Marco Silva's Fulham have been a problem for good Liverpool teams. This Liverpool team is feeling like a little bit on the ropes, so it's not going to be an easy one.
No, it's probably the fixture you want least, maybe other than Brighton, isn't it? Sort of after where we've been in the last few weeks. They're a good team. They're weird. They're very old school. They're very it seems obvious saying, but very Portuguese. They're very like Mourinho, but back when he was good in the Premier League. They love to sort of get about the pitch. They love to put a tackle in. And in terms of the midfield and stuff, they like to dominate in there, which is all things they were struggling with a bit at the minute in terms of turnovers and stuff. I like them, to be honest. I think obviously he's got the history at Everton and at Watford, Silva, but he's put together a good side there. I think probably where they are on the table at the minute doesn't really reflect, I think, sort of the season they've had. I don't actually know really many Fulham fans, but just the impression I've had of them over the season is that they're probably a lot better than what they merit in the league. I think they've had some good performances and not necessarily finished games. They've got Muniz, who seems to be stepping up a bit in terms of filling that void left by Mitrovic. Obviously still got Pally in here, didn't leave in the summer. I quite like that fella Tim Ream we've got at the back at centre half, so they're a good little side, and that's historically, I think, as well, where we've sort of come a cropper a bit under this manager, like those sort of mid-table teams that we should just be putting away. Like you say, never mind when we're in the form we've been in the last few weeks, so it could be a tough one. You sort of hope that they take the first 20 against Atalanta last night, where we looked sort of back to where we should be, and that there's the desire maybe to push on. I
suppose, well, like from a Fulham perspective, they are a bit of a, I don't, not inconsistent, but like they've won 12, but they've lost 15. Like they don't really draw. There are only 6 draws in the entire league campaign, which is that's quite. The top teams have that, but they win more than they lose. Fulham have actually lost more games than they've won, but they have shown, like I say, they beat West Ham. That was a good win. They battered Tottenham. They did well against Liverpool as well. They're the type of team that if you're not on it, they can punish you, and it feels like Liverpool might be going into this one not exactly on it.
I honestly think any side that are coming up against us at the minute, I think, and this is such a good time to probably play Liverpool. 100%. I feel like morale's sort of low, everyone looks absolutely shattered. I think if you were Fulham, you'd be rubbing your hands together at this, especially after the performance against Palace. I mean, I know we won last night against Atalanta, but obviously it felt like a defeat because it obviously was overall, but I feel like they'll be rubbing their hands together at that. I mean, obviously, like you've just said, they've lost more games, but the form that we're in at the minute, I think it was when we played them at Anfield in the league, it took absolute worldies for us to win that game. And did McAllister get one as well? That was you think you just games with worldie after worldie, and that's what it took. And at the minute you're looking at the way the side's playing and no one actually wants to take a shot half the time. That's what's been frustrating me about Liverpool, is it just feels as though everyone's passing it to each other. No one wants to take on that shot. We could be 5-on-2 and you just still think that we're not going to score. So especially with it being away and we haven't got a lot of home games left and stuff like that, it's like it's games like this where you just feel like we might end up be calling it a day on the title race if we don't. I'm probably feeling very negative right now after last night, because you just felt as though if we'd have made a comeback against Atalanta, it would have fueled us to go on. But you can even see how tired Klopp is now. You can see that. So if you're Fulham, you're probably rubbing your hands together now.
It is a good sign, like I say. They know as well that there's no surprises, like I say, Jon. Obviously, we had the 4-3 at Anfield, which we referenced earlier. Liverpool having to come behind 2 late goals. Played them in the League Cup semi at Anfield again. We were 1-0 down. Willian scores early, and then a quick Liverpool brace, and then obviously we had the draw, which was actually good enough at Craven Cottage. But all those games, you look back to last season, we drew 2-2 at their place. We beat them 1-0 in May. That was a Mo Salah penalty late on, just a single goal. Like the Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp have had certain managers who, listen, they've done well against Liverpool's record against Fulham's not too bad, but they have certainly caused us challenges. Like Abi said, if you're if you're Marco Silva with a free week to prepare, you've just watched Liverpool get looked shattered on Thursday night. Your team talk half rights itself, you know. Look at Crystal Palace did. Look how they looked the other day. Looked like again, some of the conversations you probably hear, some of this like kind of stuff. You know, there's a little bit of doubt creeping back into Liverpool. If you're a Fulham fan and you're in that stadium, you know, like these are after taking. I wonder. Yeah, I imagine they're pretty confident, which is unusual because you're facing a side who are going for a league title, could easily go back to the top of the league table if they beat you, and yet I reckon you'd be half fancying your chances if you're a Fulham supporter.
Yeah, I think you would. I think, you know, as I say, I think they're a good team, and you know, they've got a setup and it works, and they're efficient and they're all well drilled in what they need to do, and that's, as you say, that sort of caused us problems when we're at our best. Never mind when we are where we are currently, but I think my only sort of trepidation, I think, after yesterday is just sort of the thing of what have we got left to play for a little bit, and by that I mean sort of from like the medical point of view. I know you can't just bring players in who are injured and have coming in for cold, if you like, and make them play 90. But if I was the manager, you know, knowing I've only got 6 games to go, I'd just be picking a team now and going, these are my lads, and I go with them, and I've got, you know, whatever he decides, 3 subs, 5 subs, whatever he thinks he's got to go with in terms of changing it up. I think at the minute we're sort of struggling to put an 11 together where if you say taking, you know, Gakpo off, all of a sudden the front three doesn't look like it's working anymore, but you're having to for legs. For me, I'd just be putting the team out as best he can and just going, right, we've just got to run this now and just see where we end up, because the momentum could potentially take us to where we need to go, if you like. But you know, there's not really much more to it for me. I think with Fulham, it's like the such a good team in terms of what they do, but we know what they do. Like, they're not going to change how they play football, even with everything that we've got going against us. They're going to play the way they play, you know, and look to get the ball sort of into those wide areas, get it into Muniz, and then, you know, you've got the threat of Palhinha breaking from midfield in sort of a 10 position. That's it. So we know what we're going in for, and, you know, on a good day we've got all the players to cope with that. I just don't know if we're in the best position in terms of like the squad help, if you like, at the minute.
Let's try and scoot positive a little bit, absolutely, because listen, with Liverpool, and listen, there's a very good chance that, you know, they go. It depends on Arsenal. There's a chance they go top of the league. Obviously, City aren't playing. We'll touch on that in a moment. But I want to read out some Fulham results. This is since March 2nd. Fulham results. Okay, beat Brighton 3-0. Then they lose at Wolves. Then they batter Tottenham 3-0, and then they draw with Sheffield United. And then they lose to Nottingham Forest, and then they lose to Newcastle, but then they beat West Ham away. They are like, they're as mad as a box of frogs, really. Yeah. What it does show you is like, they can be beaten, you know, some bad, you know, Forest aren't a particularly good team. Sheffield United are probably the worst team in the league, and, you know, they were 3-1 up, weren't they, in that game, and probably should have beat Fulham. But then they beat Tottenham, they beat Brighton, 2 good teams. They struggled against Newcastle. It was a bit of a tight game. This is the point. It's quite, if you're Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool, listen, I understand they're a decent side, but they are where they are in the league table for a reason. You know, they are 12th. Like, you should, if you're going to win a league title, you should be able to go to the 12th best team in the league and beat them. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. You could have said the same about the Palace result, getting beat by Palace, and I think it does look as though Fulham's results do flip-flop a bit, which probably could go in our favour. Hopefully they get a little bit too complacent, possibly, to think, oh well, Liverpool are in bad form at the minute, getting out of the Europa League, you know, getting beat by Palace, obviously other bad results, and maybe they're thinking, oh yeah, we could do something here, and maybe they'll get a bit complacent, which I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. But obviously they get to be at home in that game. But I just feel like we might be able to look at them results, and it's just that Spurs result that they had. It's a little bit iffy, but I don't know. It's just because of how poor we've played recently, and watching us last night, I find it really hard to imagine the idea that at the end of this weekend we'll be top of the league, and I don't know why. It's just watching the performances and imagining how tired our players, this squad, just look absolutely wiped out, and it's trying to imagine them like getting up the energy levels to be able to go in for this game and really go for it. It's mad. Like, it's literally been 3 weeks, and all of a sudden I feel as deflated as they are, just from what I've been watching.
Changes fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been such a drag watching it, and obviously it's been a drag for them, and you just feel as though I'm going to be knackered by the end of the weekend. If we manage to do it, I'm going to be changing tune. I'm going to be like, yeah, we're going to win the league, and all positive. You know, obviously the only thing we have to go for, and hopefully Arsenal and City are feeling crap after getting out of the Champions League. Obviously, I think the City aren't playing in the league on the weekend, are they? So I don't know. I just don't feel very confident after watching last night. All I can think about is bloody I don't know, everyone being shattered. I'm tired thinking about it.
We could do a scoring a goal. Let's the context of the game, by the way, we'll have a look elsewhere recently, but Liverpool, of course, go into the game third place at the moment on 71 points. Arsenal also on 71 points, but their goal difference is 8 better off than ours. And then obviously Manchester City are top of the league on 73 points, so 2 points clear. But obviously, like I say, they don't play this weekend in the league. They've played in the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea. Arsenal will go to Wolves, of course. Liverpool go to Fulham. So we'll touch upon Arsenal later on, John. But like that is the season now, isn't it? Really, if Liverpool want to win this league title, they need to win 6 games and hope someone does them a favour. We've been here before, and to be fair to this group of players, they've done it. They've done this before. They've won those 6 games. Just no one else did us a favour, unfortunately, and that's kind of where it's gone a bit array. They've done the other way around, where they've dropped. Who knows? Those teams felt like they were in better form than this Liverpool side going into the weekend are. Abi was right before, like, though, you know, they look a bit we saw Jürgen, he looked knackered and all that kind of stuff, but there are just 6 games to go. If there's anything left in them, now it's now or never, really. You know what I mean? If they don't win on Sunday, the season's going to peter out, and you're going to be thinking, oh, we're going to finish probably third, and is what it is kind of thing. It does feel like it's now or never for Liverpool.
It does, and I think, you know, there are positives. I mean, I think Robertson, since he's come back, has looked phenomenal, and I think the 2 sorts of things the manager has to get right, I think, is sort of relying on the players who've been there and done it. Obviously, there's still some lads in this squad who it's either the first season playing for us or it's the first season potentially in senior football in some cases, but you know, he needs to get it right in terms of the players who he's putting on the pitch, in terms of relying on that experience. As I say, Robbo, the other day, looked as if he wanted to win it. You know, he looked as if he was like, I'm going to drag the team forward to this. I'm sort of what's required. And then the other thing is just to take the positive of where we are, in the sense of we are where we are in the league, but also there's 6 games. You know, if you're the manager and, you know, obviously the team obviously know he's going and stuff, for me, you don't need to keep anything back now. There's no sort of ace you've got to keep up your sleeve thinking, well, what if we get a to Europa League final? I need something to motivate them, or one last big player can sort of give one last big speech or whatever. You know, this is it now. You've got 6 games, and if you win all 6, and as you say, something happens, potentially we win the league. If not, you know, at best maybe we get second, at best maybe we get third, but you know, when we set off the start of the season, I don't think many of us were thinking that. We were hoping maybe for 4th, and that context is important. We've outperformed that massively. A lot of us would be disappointed to be finished third, I think, at the end of the season, but you know, we are, I suppose, on paper the 3rd best team in the country at the minute. That's because of, you know, where Arsenal and City are, but you know, we have to put all that to one side and just focus on what we have in front of us. And the manager historically has always been really good at that, at sort of taking that focus on him and off the team. I just don't know if my only concern, I think, to sort of temper my positivity, is just whether sort of we've got the time. I think if we had 10 games left, I could sort of go, right, you know, Trent looked really good last night for sort of 50 minutes against Atalanta. The last sort of 5 games, he'll run it. Whereas we've only got 6 games, so you sort of rely, you know what I mean? You're relying on a lot of people sort of stuff coming off, but you know, you need a bit of luck to win a league, don't you? Yeah,
and you need to score goals, and that's the thing. We'll touch upon that. We'll look at a Liverpool team. I'll start with you, Abs, because obviously the no goal against Crystal Palace, the penalty against Atalanta. Before that, of course, we had the defeat at home to Atalanta. The last time Liverpool scored a goal from open play was Luis Diaz, and that was a flick on off a corner. It has been a while since Liverpool look like, it's mad really, because they were so free scoring at times, and all of a sudden it feels like the well's dried up. But they have to fix it if they're going to win. They have to get that sorted if they're going to win. But is it a case of, are they tired? Is it injured? What are you putting it down to? Is there anything we can do between Thursday and Sundays before they go to Fulham, where you think if he does that, that'll help tenfold? Because he's tried different players, he's tried different systems, he's swapped his fullbacks, he's swapped his midfield around. Hasn't really resulted in any major difference recently. Is there anything that you can put that you'd be thinking, I would want to see Jürgen or Liverpool do this?
Do you know what the sad thing is? It just looks as though the petrol's ran out of the tank just far too early. I don't know if that came from, I think you probably go back to getting knocked out of the FA Cup by United. It just looked like that took the wind out of us completely. And you know, like I know United fans, and they're all saying they were able to derail our season, which is a real pain for them to be able to say that. But it does feel like if you go back to that game, that's when things just seem to just go. Like the mentality seemed to leave. Like obviously that doubters to believers things. Everyone on the pitch just seems to look like they doubt that they can do it now, and I think that goes for up front definitely. I think when you're looking at those sort of attacking players, it looks like no one's willing to shoot. Like you've got players at the back now trying to shoot just because everyone up front looks too scared. They're passing it to each other. Listen, I know Mo Salah is one of the best players in the world. I'm aware of that, but he's been poor. Like he has been poor. He looks like he doesn't want to take the shot on. When he does, he misses ones that he really shouldn't be missing. I think it's only right for Gakpo to actually be playing because it looks as though he's the only one that cares. He looks like he's got a point to prove at the minute, and Nunes just looks as though the goals have dried up for him, and frustration tends to be the main thing there. Diaz can do absolutely everything right, and then he can get in front of goal and then just doesn't manage to do it, and it's hard to watch. Like I said before, like we can be 5-on-2 and still not manage to score about 40 times in a game and it won't happen for us, and I don't know what to put it down to. To me, it just looks like a lack of belief now and a lack of energy, and it just looks as though they're all deflated. And maybe because there was so much belief to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna possibly go for a quadruple or a treble and that sort of thing, maybe getting knocked out by Man United in that FA Cup, it's put that doubt into them. And you've got to remember, like, this team haven't been playing together that long. This is a rebuild, so that mentality that is there from when we did win the big ones, I know there's still big players there that did it with us, but you know, there's got to be those other players that haven't got that sort of mentality in them, and it has knocked them for sick, basically. So it's good to see the likes of Trent, like you said, coming out, and I'm hoping players like that are going to get us the goals now, because looking up front,
someone's going to have to pull a finger off.
Yeah, they do.
And we'll go through a team now then, John. Bear in mind, there's been, obviously Liverpool played Thursday, there's no press conference today. We don't believe there's any other, it didn't look like anyone was injured, touch wood or anything like that, but a lot of it's going to depend on how they rock up. You know, the problem with cup competitions is when you go far in but don't win it, is that you've just loads of minutes in the legs and loads of minutes in the tank. Ultimately for nothing, unfortunately, that's where Liverpool found themselves. All the effort they put in, although to be fair, they didn't run much in the second half, so they might be sound. The goalkeeper might be knackered after playing 87 passes or something, but everyone else, we have to try and pick a team. So Alisson will be in goal, of course. Van Dijk will play. I think we'd all have that, of course. It's elsewhere is going to be interesting. We'd all like to see Alexander-Arnold, but he himself I think he admitted in his interview that he was tired. It wasn't a shock that he got taken off, but I don't know, it feels like it's one he probably needs to start, even if he can only give you a 40, if he can only give you a half, if he can only give you an hour. It feels like he's one who should start and be taken off rather than someone you'd want to bring on to influence again. Is that fair?
I think so, yeah. I think you can think you would Gomez, can't you? And then on the other flank, I think you've just got to cross your fingers with Robertson. It's
got to be Robertson. It's to me, Costas' last game, that might be him done for the season. Unless, other than Joe Gomez, of course, can play left back, but I'm with Joe with Robbo.
My only question mark, I think, at the back for me is, I feel bad saying this because I like him, I think I've probably got a slight question mark over Konate. He just seems a bit... My issue with Konate at the moment, and I'll bring it back to you now, is that teams are quite happy for him to have the ball. That I've noticed that for the last few weeks now, teams aren't bothered if Konate's got it, and he isn't bad on the ball, but he's probably the weakest of them. I actually think Kwanza's better than him. Kwanza will go. He can do he's a better passer, I think, and he's a better, I don't know, Joel Matip-esque dribbler into the box. Is he as good as a defender? Maybe not, and that's the problem up against Munoz, is that do you go with a better defender, or do you want to go with the fella who maybe fried your ball out on the ball? What would you do if you were Jurgen picking? I think I'd go Kwanza, actually. I think I'd go Kwanza personally, and if I was the manager, I think my concern actually is a little bit further forward, which I'll circle back around to what you've just said, but I think my concern is a little bit further forward in terms of the midfield, that we seem leggy and we seem like we need an extra man. And there's a few things there where you could change formation and maybe go forward in midfield, but one way you would combat that is by having someone who's comfortable with the ball in midfield, centre half. So if I was the manager, maybe I'd be looking at him and thinking, well, all right, Van Dijk can sort of defend 1v1, 1v2 potentially if he needs to, and he can handle Muniz. But having a lad next to him, as you say, like Kwanza, who can take the ball forward, would give us a bit. It lets the lads in front in midfield sort of push up a little bit and have to worry less about, you know, covering spaces.
What do you think, Ibu or Kwanza centre back for you, Abs?
Probably Quansah, I do think, but I do think because he's young, and I'm just thinking of what's on the line at the minute, and if we are going to come out at the end of the season with anything, it's a lot of pressure on a young lad, and obviously you could see the nerves got to him when he made that mistake against United, and you don't want another situation like that where something happens to him and then he takes another sort of thing. But I do get what you mean, like it does feel as though teams are happy for Konate to just have the ball at times, and it does look... At times he has looked a little bit shaky, but I probably would go for Quansah. Then I think that's probably going against the majority though, because I can imagine a lot of people are just saying you go with your solid, you go with that Virgil, Konate, obviously Trent and then Robbo. I think you sort of do go for that. Because
that was only yesterday, was the third time they've all played together, the back five, and we're going to split it up already. He played a lot. I don't know. I think either or, it'd be fine. I'm just thinking on the ball. I think that
I don't bat an eyelid when it's either of them on the team sheet at the minute. I think it's the same up front as well. I don't really bat an eyelid if it mixes about a bit. It's just performances all round seem to be leggy and tired, so it's difficult to decide.
The fact that Wataru Endo didn't kick a ball last night, John, I think he has to play. I know he has been a bit up and down recently, and listen, he got hooked against Palace, and for the second time this season, maybe it's just there's a Crystal Palace thing that they have something against them, but it feels like if Liverpool, even McAllister's having a little bit of a dip in terms, he's probably going to have to play up further forward, but Endo has to come back in, I would suggest.
I think so, yeah, and I think, again, the type of team sort of Fulham are, you need someone like him, you need someone who's a bit combative, and nothing against McAllister, who's been good at 6, but, he's a different type of 6, isn't he? So I think you'd be looking at starting him. I think for me, the key one in midfield is if he's fit enough to sort of do the 90, I think for me, Jones has to start.
Really, yeah?
I think he...
I'm surprised by that.
Really?
Yeah.
Compared to Szoboszlai, or...?
Elliott has to play for me.
Well...
if I was picking the team, it would be McAllister and Elliott in front of Endo. I think Szoboszlai is in poor form, and I don't think Kurt's in good form either. Will be my... we haven't scored a goal. We can't score a goal. I think... Elliott's been the one, and if he's always come off the bench, and I get it, I think I will go Elliott if it was me.
I agree. I think I'll show me a little bit here. I think my thing is actually I'm the same with Elliott. I agree. I think he should be playing. I'm a bench man, but also I've got a big question mark, which we can come on to a minute, about Mo Salah.
I get it, but Salah's going to play. There's no way Harvey Elliott's playing right wing against Fulham, surely.
Salah plays, definitely.
And I think I get it, he's in bad form, but I think he has to play. We haven't got no one else. I mean, you could throw Jota out there, but I mean, Jota looks rusty as anything as well. You move Diaz across. I think the fact that is that because it's Thursday, Sunday, Jürgen referenced, then they're going to travel home, recovery day, training session down to London. Like there's no real time there to implement any major change or anything. You know what I mean? Like whatever they're gonna have to do, they're gonna have to roll that out again.
Yeah.
He hasn't got like a week where he can work on specific things. Like you could tell that he had a bit of time between Palace and Atalanta, because in the first half Liverpool did something different. Andy Robertson was up front and Salah was playing centre mid. They haven't really got any chance to do anything like that ahead of Fulham, so it feels like he might have to go with the tried and tested a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't got time for any sort of master plan that he's come up with overnight and taught us. Absolutely not. There just hasn't been the time, and I don't know whether going out of the competitions might have done us a favour in that way, that we might get a little bit more time for the last 6 games to be able to think of ways that we can try and grind out those last 6 wins, but just not for this one. Like you were saying about Endo, I just think that performance against Palace, you've just got to look at poor performances, but you've got to bring him in and be able to say, right, you need to prove yourself now, it's fine, it's done, you've had your bad performance, it's okay, you just need to try now and show us what you can do, because we've all seen what Endo's capable of. It's absolutely brilliant. Obviously I've got nothing against McAllister in that position, but I'm with Steve. I think you do need him further forward, and I probably think Elliott's probably a good shout. Actually, I like it when Elliott is behind Salah. I just think Szoboszlai has just been poor. I think he's been really poor. I wouldn't say that it looks like he's fatigued like the others. It just looks as though it's sloppy to me. It looks completely sloppy. Sometimes he's not even looking at where he's passing the ball. He probably misplaces the ball about 3 times every game that he's playing, and it just looks slow. I think it looks as though he's playing walking footy sometimes. I mean, not to completely slag off one of our players who I'm trying to get to go and win the Premier League title, but he's one that I've got really frustrated with, and he's one that I would say, right, okay, you need to sit out now for this one.
another one from Yusuf here in the YouTube comments. What about Trent in midfield? I suppose, John, if he was fitter, maybe, but I mean, it's certainly an option. You could, Joe Gomez could easily go into right back, and you could go Trent, Endo, and McAllister, or if you wanted to, like, you know. And against Fulham, that's what Liverpool won. Liverpool won the game because Endo come on, didn't he? Scores, but also it freed Trent to go forward as well, and it had a little bit of an impact there. Whether he's fit enough to do it, I don't know, but it's certainly an option that Jurgen's got available to him if he wants to.
I think he has. I think the thing for me with the whole midfield thing, and I think we had this sort of about 9-12 months ago when we had the season we had last year and we were struggling a bit, is for me, I think the problem we've got at the minute is the midfield. I think all the lads who are in good form look knackered, and we're relying, I think where Endo got found out at Palace was we were relying on him basically to make the plays, and they were just putting lads around him and going, we're just going to pick this off. You need people who can sort of have the ball, I think, at the minute, and just sort of be comfortable that they're not going to lose possession, which is why I brought Jones up. But, you know, we need someone like him, like a Trent, like a Harvey Elliott, who's comfortable with receiving the ball and laying the ball off, and like I say, isn't going to lose possession, but can also get about the pitch a bit. You know, starts the season, Szoboszlai was fantastic at that. You know, he's not been that for a while now, so can you find someone who can give you that for 60-70 minutes? Because I don't think you don't need to be that for the full 90. I don't think. I think if we get our noses in front and you sort of build up a bit of a head of steam, we could probably potentially, you know, take the game away from Fulham, really. But you need someone who can do that. Trent, for me, I think I don't know. I think it's probably a bit too soon for him. I know he's obviously had that discussion with Neville sort of over the break and stuff, saying about playing there, but I just think where he's been playing sort of a full back, but also set plays and stuff for me.
I think, yeah, I was trying to think. Well, I think he has to play at right back. I don't. If we're worried about his leg at right back, you've got to worry about his legs in midfield. You know, you might get 60 minutes out of him at right back and half an hour out of him. Yeah. And to be honest, he plays in midfield anyway. You're just wondering if he needs to. Up front, then is the interesting one, because like in terms of form, fitness, I'd say the fit ones are out of form. There's a couple of lads coming back, and even like Gakpo and Diaz are probably in the best of form, but neither of them are actually prolific. Like, I saw Josh Williams tweet today, didn't he? You know, Gakpo played well yesterday, both games against Atlanta. We haven't had a shot. Yeah. Like, he isn't. I don't know. Like, I think if it's me, it's Diaz, Salah, Nunez. I think, but you could talk me into anything here, because I'm not. Honestly, because I'm not. I think Diaz is the only one actually who I think should nailed on start.
Yeah.
100%.
The rest of it is, I don't know, John.
I've got a big thing, I think, at the minute that I want to see Jota play. I want to see him start.
He was miles off. I mean, he all was, but is he good? What's he got in his legs? He said he had a little bit of a knock, didn't he? And that's why he only played 20 yesterday, or whatever he come on for, because Liverpool chasing a goal. And listen, he looked pretty poor when he come on. The whole team did, but for someone to go from only having 20 minutes in the legs in a game where you need goals, to suggest he could start on the Sunday seems unlikely, really, mate. I would guess
it's the problem, isn't it? I think the problem we're having is you know, without sugarcoating, it's putting the ball in there. I think he's the best finisher at the club, and it's like I want him just in and around the box. I don't necessarily want him running, but as you say, it's a training thing, isn't it? We haven't really got time to work on anything like that. If it was me, I completely agree. I think Diaz has to start. I think he of the front three who've been playing, he's the one who sort of every game, I think, well, he did this, he did that, or you know, or even sometimes if it's just application, I think he's putting himself about enough to warrant being there. Where I struggle, I think, is sort of the Nunez question, because I think you've got the thing at the minute of like, he's mad and loads of stuff happens around him, but then he's getting all these chances and just skying them, and it's like, I think it's hard, isn't it? Because I think if it's like the start of the season, you can sort of run through that a bit and be a bit like, oh, he'll get into form. Because of where we are in the season now, I think it's becoming a bit of a monkey on his back, really. That the people are getting on his case a bit, being like, lads, you're getting like 4 one-on-ones here, where it's just you and the goalie. Yeah. You need to be putting these away. And I don't know whether that'll get under people's skin a bit if he does that for 90 minutes. Is my only concern. If it was me, I'd be starting Gakpo, I think, up front. And I want to say Jota, but I agree with you. I think the fitness thing, and obviously Mo being there and sort of the guaranteed starter, if you like, I think it'll probably be, I would pick something like that. But
I think I'm with you on that one.
So Diaz, Salah, Gakpo.
Yeah, I just think Jota's just looked not to what we were expecting.
He's clearly ready.
But we've all been crying out for him. That's the thing. I even said it. I was like, you know what? If we had Jota in these games, we win these games, and then he's come back as just as tired as the rest of them. He's come back and literally just been as poor as the rest of them.
Played a lot of FIFA while he's been away.
Yeah,
I think I'm still going Darwin just because I was concerned last night at the lack of chances created. He does. Yeah. When he's on the pitch, chances are made. Now, by the end of yesterday, Liverpool were out of ideas, and in the end, they was going long to him, and it wasn't going to work. But for the most part, I agree, he hasn't been in good form in front of goal. But I think if this team, it looked like to score a goal or two, they're going to have to create like 20 chances anyway, given how it's gone. So it might need to be the volume type thing. John, if that makes sense. They're probably going to have to create a lot to score them, given the form they're in. He is the one who tends to help get chances created.
Well, what I didn't mind seeing yesterday, it was that dynamic of having Robertson and Trent at fullback again, because it gives us width and it lets you have all the lads come inside. And some of the problems we're having, I think, in midfield are sort of mitigated if Diaz and Mo can go narrow. So if you can have that for sort of 40, 50, 60 minutes of both of them going wide and essentially playing like wing backs or wingers, and you've got Núñez up front, then because then you've got him to hit, and he can, you can pick up second balls that he'll knock down, or he might do something, you know what I mean? So I think it's something definitely something we could do. I just think, as I say, the form in front of goal at the minute is just such an issue. It's like, even if it was a tap-in, if he had 3 or 4 chances and just scored a tap-in, I'd be happy, or like an header or something. But he just, I can't even say he doesn't help himself, because he does. He does mad things and creates mad chances. It's just the easy bit he doesn't do. He does all the hard bits.
I think against the easy, you're going to need someone who goes in behind them. I don't think playing the ball into Gakpo's feet at this moment in time is what Liverpool needs. But you are right. He's probably he's actually looked in good nick.
It feels harsh to drop Gakpo when he's the only one who looks like he's got any energy left in the tank. Or
he's playing left back yesterday. Maybe he can start there. Yeah. Interesting one. Right, let's have a little look elsewhere before we wrap up. Obviously, the main fixture that we're all going to be looking at in terms of the Premier League, obviously, I mentioned before, City don't play. Arsenal have a tricky one. 7:30 away at Wolves, on the back of getting legged round the Allianz in midweek, albeit a couple of days. Was it a day before, wasn't it? Was it Wednesday? Wednesday night, yeah. They're another one, John, whose season is now hanging by a thread. They obviously got beat. I actually thought Villa battered them second half. They didn't do anything of note really in the Allianz. They were okay without ever really looking like the goal threat, and they're in the same boat really. Their fans are starting to talk about goals and what's happening in front of goal. Wolves away at 7:30 is no battle of laughs. No, I think again there's a couple of fixtures I think in the league where off the back of a bad result you'd be like, I don't fancy playing them. For me, Wolves is one. Saturday night. Yeah, it's big and they go big. For that's the thing. And you see their ground and stuff, and which I'm into, by the way. I think they've had quite a good season. Again, I don't know a lot of Wolves fans, but from what I've seen of them, I've always been impressed. They're above Fulham. We're talking about going to Fulham. They're above Fulham. But it's a hard one. I think the thing with Arsenal and people, I think people in our fan base have probably been saying this for a bit longer than their fan base haven't. Fair enough. Is I think we all sort of thought it would come a cropper at some point, and it was how they reacted to it. The difference, I think, between us and them, and listen, they can learn this over time, like, they're still a very young team and they've got a relatively youngish manager, is, every season where we had a knock, the first thing the manager said when we started the next season was, I can't believe how well they've all reacted to it. They're great. Do you know what I mean? They've come back stronger. You don't get that with Arsenal at the minute. They all just look knackered, and the Reds, I think the Reds might go down again off the back of it. We've been here before, we know what happens now, and as you say, against Villa second half they looked awful. Like it wasn't that Villa outplayed them in the sense of they had a plan. Arsenal just looked horrific. So it could be a game too many for them, and I think there's a lot of good players at Wolves who can do damage, and individually on their own do damage. I think so. It could be a tough one. I think I wouldn't be shocked if any results. If they win, fair enough, they've turned the corner. But if someone, if I was opening my phone later and it said that they drew 2-2 or they got beat 2-1 or whatever, I wouldn't be shocked either. I suppose with City not playing abs as well, like we saw last weekend, it was the perfect weekend for Manchester City. They get a relatively comfortable win against Luton, and then they watch Liverpool lose to Palace at home, and then obviously Arsenal lose to Villa. City, obviously, they'll be looking at this league table, this league fixtures rather, thinking even though we're not playing a game, Liverpool going to Fulham and Arsenal going to Wolves, they're both games, if they were the way around, you'd be thinking, there's a chance there for them. Like Liverpool play twice in the league before City even play again in the league. I think that's right in saying. Yeah. Given how it's all panned out, so it's massive. It's equally as massive for Arsenal. Really, they're in the last chance saloon as well. But I don't know. I've got a sneaky feeling they might drop points at Wolves?
I think Arsenal definitely drop points. I think this
Wolves?
is I think this is it now for them. I feel like the wheels have fallen off, and I mean that's probably a slight thing to say when we're probably in the same situation. We look just as tired as they do, but there's a lot of players in our team that have been able to get back up at times like this, and do you know what it's like to, you know, well, I mean, I know Arsenal did it last season, but it just doesn't look like in some ways it does look like they've learned from the mistakes, but in a lot of ways it doesn't at the same time. They all look really deflated at this moment, and I think when you're going out of the Champions League like that, it's worse than what we've gone through going out of the Europa League against Atalanta. I mean, they might say it's more embarrassing to go out against Atalanta in the Europa League.
I suppose the difference is that we were out last week.
Yeah.
We'd all got our heads around the fact that we was already out. They went to the Allianz with a massive opportunity.
Don't get me wrong, I probably wanted them in City to go through just so they had something else to focus on. Definitely you'd rather that they were doing that, but I'm hoping it's going to have the opposite effects now. Either way, it was going to be okay, well they've got something else to focus on now, or oh well, they're both going to be miserable now, and we've ended up in the same situation. So it's just who can get themselves back up from that and capitalise on City not playing.
Yeah, fingers crossed it does. With that being said, then, do you think Arsenal will drop points as well? Me and Abby tend to.
I think they will. Yeah, I think it's a struggle. I think for them to pick themselves up so soon to and do something convincing.
Let's flip it over then, because a lot of people will be saying the same about us. No, they will. Of course, they will. Isn't it? Listen, he's always said doubters to believers. I think a lot of us are doubters at the moment in time. There's a lot. Given how the last eight games or so have gone, John, my head is saying 1-1. And my heart is saying 2-1, nick one. But I don't see a world where Liverpool are comfortable 3-0 winners, or just stroll in the park Premier League game, because we haven't shown anything like that really. So how do you see the weekend going for the Reds?
I think it'd be a tight one. I think it's one of them, like, as much as we all hate it, we're going to ride our nerves for the last 6 games of the season and just see what happens. But and I'm having flashbacks to Southampton a couple of seasons ago here, but I think it'll be a tight game. I think I want to believe we've got enough to do it personally, and I think we'll know sort of within the first 5-10 minutes what the game's going to be like. That first 20 against Atalanta gives me hope that there's something there that we can sort of pull it out. But I don't know, you know, and I want to say 2-1, but to Liverpool. But you know, as you say, if you said 1-1 and it's been a tight game and not much has happened, you know, I wouldn't be shocked.
All results are possible here. How you feeling?
1-1, probably us getting a penalty, not even a goal in a play. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. Probably concede early. I hope I'm wrong as well. I'd like to be more positive, but
I just keep thinking, like, at some point it's got to. Is it just going to be this for like the last 10-15 games of the season? You know what I mean? 6 games is a long time. I'm with John in that I'm taking half from the first half against Atalanta. I don't think Fulham can do what Atalanta did to us in the second half, completely nullify like out the game. So, but listen, all results are possible. I wouldn't be shocked if we lost, drew one. Like, there's not any. I was genuinely shocked when we didn't beat Crystal Palace. I know we were in a good form, but I thought Liverpool would still find a way to win. This weekend, I think all outcomes are as equally as likely as each other, really.
The big boom for me is the goalie being back, I think.
Yeah.
There's been a few questions.
He was brilliant yesterday. I mean, with the ball, he had all of it, but just his saves.
I mean, and that's not...
That one that didn't count because it was offside, when he says Van Dijk's own goal was outrageous.
It was well, did I? And I was going to say, that's nothing against Kelleher, by the way. I think Kelleher's been fantastic, you know, obviously stepping up this season, but I just think having him behind you, as you say, some of them saves against Atalanta were world class, and I think if you're looking at Fulham and how Fulham are going to do damage, it's either from distance with, you know, Pereira and stuff, and possibly Willian if he plays, or it's going to be a big lad up front.
Wide, he's a good player.
So having him fit, I think, is a big out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do with the goalkeeper. He might need him. I'm sure they will at some point, because probably within the first 5 minutes of the game, that's when teams tend to be at their most deadly against us. Right, fingers crossed Liverpool can get the job done. If you want to check it out, the watch along this weekend, the kick-off is 4:30 on Sunday, of course. So join Paul and Chris in the studio for the live watch along of Fulham vs Liverpool. Be live on YouTube at 3:15 with the Uncensored Match build-up reacting to the team news, and then again at 4:15 for the entirety of the watch-along, and then afterwards loads of stuff on YouTube. There'll be Redmen Plus. I'll be hosting the Redmen Plus shows, as well as hopefully Liverpool can get the season back on track. Thanks to Abi, thanks to John, thanks to all you guys for watching or listening, and we'll see you all soon. See you in a bit.
Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcast, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.